estate agent thinks that there is one perfect way to build a real estate team, but the truth is there isn't. In today's Rocket Fuel, you'll hear from 3 powerhouse leaders in the industry who have built a wildly successful real estate team in totally completely different ways. Kellyanne Harris has a team of 16 agents who will close nearly 400 homes this year, and Kenny and Elias run the number 1-2 team in their brokerage with over 200 agents, closing 850 homes with $650 million in volume. 2 totally different models, 2 totally different playbooks, and both are winning at the highest level and they're profitable. So here's a question. How do you want to build your real estate team? So stop chasing perfect and listen to this episode right now. This is awesome. Welcome to Rocket Fuel. If you're new here, welcome, welcome. This is open to all brokerages and we have different topics every single week. And this week's topic is about teams and building teams your way. And I think I'm just curious because we have several people. I'm curious to know if you have a team, drop a 1 in the chat. If you have a team, drop a 1 in the chat. I'm curious to see where our audience is today. If you want to start a team, drop a 2 in the chat. And if you want to revamp or fire your team, I'm kidding. If you want to revamp or upgrade your team or think of different ways to build your team, drop a 3. There goes. What the heck, Kenny? Kenny knew before I was going to say it. If you want to run for the hills, drop an 11. I love it, Elias. Okay, so today we are showcasing 2 amazing different teams. We have 3 real estate leaders. And what I think is really cool about it is I think a lot of people in our industry today think that there's just one way to build a team. And I truly believe that there are multiple ways to build a team. There's no right or wrong way. It's just as if it works for you and if it works for your market and it's in alignment and of course if it's profitable. And the 2 teams that I'm showcasing today is we have Kellyanne from Kentucky, Owensboro, Kentucky, if you guys don't know where that is. Kellyanne, explain to them how many people that you have on your MLS because I want them to get context for how many people are in your market today.
I wonder if anybody knows what BFE stands for. That's what we call it here. So, but anyways, yes, I'm literally in BFE.
What does it stand for?
I don't know. To pay somebody for cussing on here. But
you don't know what it means. I'm not going to say what it means, but you don't know what it means.
She doesn't know. Great. She doesn't know.
I don't.
Okay, somebody said it. So I have 100,000 people in my city. We do have expansion, so we've expanded to the cities around us, but there's only 25 agents in my MLS.
And how many will you guys do and how many agents are on your team today?
So we just recruited 2, and we have like 8 in the pipeline. We're in like rebuild growth we kind of went back on our core values. So today we have 16, and we will close close to probably upper 300s, close to 400 this year. This is one of our lower years, but it is one of the most crucial years to get back on track to do our 600, 700 units a year.
Amazing. And then we have Elias and Kenny from Team Fast. Kenny and Elias, tell them where you're from, how many people you guys have on the team, and what's your volume and your units look like for 2025.
Kenny, you want to take the top part? I'll do the production part.
Sure. We have right now 205 agents. We've been floating around. We finally broke 200 after 3 years. At one point, 2022, I think June, July, we had like a 394 was our peak. But our production has been up every year since that one drop in 2023.
So hi, you guys. I'm Elias. Kenny's counterpart, yin to his yang to his yin, whatever that sounds like. But right now we're at 496 million for year to date, 622 units sold. And what we've experienced over the last couple of years is that we obviously had agents leave the business, but even when the agents left the business and left the team, our numbers didn't change. And so our per agent productivity has gotten better. And then we're actually a little bit more lean with our ability to, work with more agents. And so, yeah, it's been great getting more lean. Like we didn't need to be at 394. It's cool for a moment, but I like where we are now. We're more productive.
Yeah. So I love showcasing the difference. You got Kellyanne with 16 agents on track to do 650 million with Kenny and them for at 200. I'm curious. I'm sure the audience is also curious. How much of that is your own personal production, and for Kellyanne and Kenny? Because I know, Elias, you're not in production. Yeah. Thank you for answering.
Oh, okay. I'll go first. Women first, right, Kenny?
Yeah.
Yep. So this year I went back into production because that's what you do. So if it tells you anything, I'll probably close 50 or 60 of those homes myself. I put 9 under contract this month already. So I went back and I know, but I do not want to. I used to do 100 units a year, and I haven't done that in like forever, and I'm not going to do it. But I normally do. I would say everything besides this year. I usually 30 to 40 transactions a month. But this year, I just kind of kicked it into gear. Felt like making some extra cash.
What about you, Kenny?
Not a whole lot. I mean, the year before I had only 10 agents at my last brokerage. I did 88 deals. The first year here at EXP, I did 66 transactions when the team did 127. But past that point on, I haven't had a year in the last couple of years where I did more than like 14 deals. This year, I've only closed 8 deals. I'll probably end up doing 12. I realized going to a lot of places, like you can't lead your team and build it if you're constantly on appointments or if you're even in someone's living room. I still try to do some listings, but when the opportunity comes, I try to give it to my team as much as possible so I can go focus on the bigger picture.
So now that you guys have backgrounds of the 2 different teams, we're gonna like fire around this panel so that you guys can get the most out of it, and we'll open it up for questions. And Amy and Joe, feel free to ask questions as well throughout the panel. But I'm curious to know, Kelly and Kenny and Elias, how is your team structured today with the volume that you guys do? Roles, admin, are you guys admin heavy, coaching? What does that look like?
All right. So we are very, very staff heavy right now because we're in rebuild. We were in the expansion business space for a long time. I had 8 teams and we were closing over 600, 700 units a year. I decided to get out of partnership. It just it wasn't where we wanted to go. So we ended up kind of backtracking. We're now in just 4 cities. I say just, but compared to where we were. And so how our team works, we have, I want to say, golly, where's my chief? Because I don't know any of this stuff sometimes, but I want to say I have 8 virtual assistants. I pretty much am running a marketing agency out of my team. So I have 4 people in the States, physically in the office with me. So that would make 12. So we're super, super, like we're one-on-one almost to agent count. But the point of that is we decided to backtrack, to go backwards on agent count, to go forwards so that we could run the exact model we wanted to run. So right now we're set up to recruit 24 agents by the end of next year, which will make us back to that, I think, 4-to-1 ratio on staff.
Kenny, Elias, what does your team look like? Structure, staff?
The staff hasn't changed that much even over the last 5 years. As we develop the roles, like we have 4 people in leadership, one including myself, Elias. We have 2 in the back office operations. They've all kind of leveled up, and then they all have their own dedicated virtual assistants or local physical assistant. And if it's local physical assistant, then that person has virtual assistants. And we kind of have developed the admin team over the years. We've actually cut only a handful of VAs over the last couple of years. At one point, this staff when we were growing like crazy, we recruited 400 team members in 2 years in our peak years, in combined years. We were actually trying to get to 600 agents, and we felt we had the right systems and people in place for that. But then as we cut back, like we just didn't need as much. Elias can kind of chime in the more like granular details.
Yeah, I think, when I look at other organizations, we're very lean at a senior leadership level. There's not too much of a hierarchy. Kenny, myself, Molly, and Karina, who are the executive leaders of the company, we've all been working together since 2018. Kenny and Karina longer than that. So we've all been working together prior to us even coming to this brokerage. And so it's really cool. The highs, the lows, the disagreements, but at the end of the day, we've always focused on what is the best for our agent population. One of the newest roles that we've rolled out in the last 2 years, which we haven't added many roles. We've tried like squad leaders in the past and it didn't work out. Well, it worked out for that season, but we didn't stay with it. We launched a conversion coach. So if you're running any type of online leads department, we know how challenging that is. So we have a lead scientist that runs all the data and all of the figures and moving the metrics and the, zip codes and things like that. But then we actually have a conversion coach that coaches directly to those metrics and the data. So the conversion coach is actually the only new role that we've added over the last couple of years. And so it's worked for us because we all stay in our lanes and in our core competencies. And Raquel could tell you in the beginning, it wasn't always like that. But once we got in our own lanes, then we're able to really focus on what we need. For example, I have my own executive assistant. I have my own assistant for marketing for the coaching department. And so we're very, very nimble and lean in our leadership. And it's worked for us really effectively over the years.
So my question to both of you guys is, how has your team adjusted, and where does, Elias, you talked about most of your, you guys have an online, where does most of your business come today? And, is it Sphere? Is it online? Kellyanne, feel free.
Yeah. So for most of our business right now, and this has been historic for us, we always are heavy on Sphere and referral business. For Zillow, predominantly, that's our predominant lead source. We'll do about 17 to 19% of our overall company dollar will come from Zillow this year. So a lot of our business obviously is our friends, family, and then we're a very social media heavy team, and our agents get tons of engagement from social media. And so I believe that we want balance. I never want our online lead numbers to be over 25% of our overall company dollar. I don't think that's healthy.
Joe?
Yeah, early on, how I built my business is online leads, but we made sure we shift out of that, especially when we're competing in this local market. There were other brokerages and teams offering online leads as their main value proposition, and they had better split sentence and caps. So we we lost like 40 agents to one brokerage within 2 years. So I was like, we need to make us something else, and we kind of adapted with the times too. When every year you kind of like pivot a little bit to adjust to the market. Then we went big in like social media. Then we went big on like coaching and productivity and action-based just prospecting. So the current roster we have on a live, you probably get like 40, 50 people in your coaching calls some days. So a quarter of our agents are very involved in like the boot camps and the workshops and just tracking all the stats. We award people tracking their stats for lunches, to top producers to get dinners. So it's very activity based. And now we then, with the market coming down a bit, then last year we did make an extra focus to go back into recruiting to our Zillow team. At the bottom 2 years ago, I think we were like 14% Zillow. This year 17%. It's still a very healthy amount of business. We use it for more of a retention tool, but also the people in those programs have to learn how to track everything. So overall, it builds our skill sets for the other parts of our business, with 80% being personal business.
Joe?
Yeah, just curious, guys. Crushing it. Either of you, Kellyanne or Elias, Kenny. Like, what's an elevator pitch to an agent to join your team? Like that, Kenny, the number of agents you're running is it's crazy, right? And Kellyanne, I don't know.
I think we're different than any other. We are different than like 95% teams out here because we help them build their independent businesses. if you look at our top 50 roster or higher, like no one uses Team Fast or Fast Real Estate marketing, which is really strange for a team to say that. So we run it more like a brokerage, and no other
Like a marketing
team,
group almost. Yeah.
yeah, no other local team here really encourages that. But to be able to do that, you have to build a world big enough. So I never, right from the beginning, it was I was fast agent, and I built a team fast, and then I built fast real estate. None of it says Kenny on it because I don't want, because it's hard to scale Kenny to whatever I think I want to scale it to.
There's only one Kenny.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
I
Amy,
was
go
just
ahead.
saying there's only one Kenny in the world. It's tough to scale him.
I just wanted to know what you guys offer from an operational perspective, Kenny and Elias. Like, what services do you offer from like a deal
Yeah.
processing, transaction management?
So we offer none of that for deal doctoring and transaction management. It's the responsibility of the agent. But here's what we talk a lot about on our recruiting calls. It's the intangibles. And what I mean by that is that every single brokerage in our market can offer tech, tools, support, some type of broker level support. Well, that's all good and well. Well, we want to talk about the intangibles. And a lot of what we have done and created is associated with the feeling, right? It's associated with being in a good relationship. When I talk to agents, it's about coming here and not having to conform what the industry is saying. It's about coming here and expressing your intrinsic qualities as a human being and being in a space where that is fostered. And it's okay to rock whoever you are. A lot of companies feel like, oh, well, we need you to be like this. In our environment, if they can just be themselves, what we've seen is they just continue to grow and they build their own personal brand. And so we've removed our identity from their brand, allowed them to create something which creates a healthy environment, and they feel happy in our environment. And so we talk a lot about the intangibles versus all the things that they would get from tech tool support. And we can go into that in a moment there, but to answer the initial question, Amy, we don't do transaction support from a TC side, but we do help them with if they need help with their contracts or writing their offer. Karina has a Zoom room every single Monday through Thursday. It's an open Zoom room. Any agent could come in and get help with their contracts that they're writing. So we do offer that, but not like the God of minutes all day long. And then we don't do transaction management.
Got it.
Kellyanne, what about you?
So for a long time we were like so heavy on Sphere, obviously because small towns, everybody, the Kellyanne Harris, like that was just like the name because I've been in it for so long. But we're 40%. Actually, we were just looking at this. We have built our own. The last year, I decided to invest in my own. I call him my little Elon Musk program, where I didn't want to hire an ad agency to run ads, so I found the Who, and he was on my team, and he was an agent, and he had that like engineering background. And I said, hey, I want to build this. And so I'm an investor too. So also my team is a property management company as well. So we also manage quite a big portfolio, and I flip and I offer cash offer. And, I have like a dozen projects going on right now just on flipping. So what we decided is like, I was going to employ this guy. So now we're about 10, 11 months into the program. And now 30% of our business is coming from online lead gen. We did never, ever have done that. All of the scale we did expansion wise was all operational. We are the team that does the transaction management, the marketing. I was the mega agent. So how I built my team, because, I was the mega agent that was doing 100+ deals a year that needed to be highly leveraged. That's why when people are like, oh, Kelly, you're doing 50 or 60 deals, but you have to understand, like, my structure is much different than Kenny and Elias's, because I said your name like that. You like that, don't you, Elias? So he loves it when I say it like that. So, but whenever they built theirs very brokerage model, mine is very leverage model, because I want the mega agents. Like, I have another agent on my team that does 100+ deals a year. So literally the agent on my team is only doing 5% of the transaction. So it's just a different way. And my model is a very dependent model. And so, which there's all walks of life. Like, one thing, like, I've recruited and opened offices for years, and I've stepped out of the business, and that's one thing. Like, now I'm back in the business because of where I am in my journey, and my son keeps me very busy. So I want to be home now, and not traveling like I did, at least for these next 3 years. And so I went back into the business because I sold a lot of things that I had, a lot of my offices, but I wasn't doing production. So that's why you see my agents are closing 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 deals a year, and I have a smaller agent count. So it just depends on the model, because there's agent that wants the Kenny and the Elias model, and there's agents that want the leverage model. It depends on which one you want to run.
What do you mean by leverage model, Kellyanne? Do they
I mean,
do every single thing for the agents? Do you guys do every single thing from the
everything. We'll even write their contracts. I mean, literally, I want them taking the leads, and because now my goal is to get 50% of our business. We're at 50% of our business coming from our marketing department, our market and lead flow. We are running ads, so leverage is, I want to provide everything for them. Literally, I'm building a machine that one day I can sell, because Kelly can step out of it. I don't have, and it's just producing. So what I mean is like transaction management, marketing, sealing up their contracts if they missed an initial, putting all of their marketing online, developing their video, doing their reels, posting their reels. Like, all I want my person doing is answering the phone, taking an appointment, going and showing the house, and then that's it.
So now that leads us to, what do you guys look for when you guys are interviewing for your teams? Elias, Kenny, Kellyanne.
Go
Is
ahead,
there a
Kenny.
standard that you guys have?
I mean, we would like to think we have standards, but I honestly think that you just never know who will be successful in real estate. So we give most people a shot. I will say, just from our experience, we recruit 100 agents. We haven't had a year we haven't recruited 100 agents, but our turnover rate is like 45%. So we'll give everyone a shot if they show up and do the things. So our 30-day onboarding has gotten more precise, opening doors. I mean, opening segments of things you need to do. So they plug in, they should do well. But I would say we hire for grit people. We attract people who show up online. Like Kelly was referencing the agents that are more dependent. It's really hard to offer a lot of services in our area and have them dependent, because if you sell 6 to 8 homes a year, you could literally end up in the top 5% of realtors here, because the price points are so high. So because of that, people don't need to figure out a lot of the things, and don't need help with a lot of things. To sell 10 homes a year, I mean, 30 hours of a transaction, you're working barely part-time, you can still make it and become very successful. So we want just people who are like independent, can figure things out, with wanting to learn and just take action. And we just tend to attract people who are more social and loud and be you, because in our market, it's very hard to compete in our market, because it's California and Bay Area. This is like the top 3 most expensive market in the entire United States. So we're competing against the Compasses and the agencies and all the side brokerages of the world. So the people we find are going to be ones that are not less so attracted to those companies.
I think Joe has his hand up before I answer.
Yeah, I was just curious. Well, Kellyanne, if you want to answer first, Kenny kind of got into this. I'm curious, like, what do agents misunderstand about joining teams? Like, there's for sure I don't know if it's a humility required, or like, I've been beat up long enough required, or I'm new enough and I'm not good. I mean, like, like some of the most successful people I know in the real estate space, from a financial perspective, are team members. Some of the poorest people I know in the real estate space are like top producing team leaders. It's like, it's the craziest dichotomy. So like, what do real estate agents not understand about joining a team that they're really missing out on from a financial standpoint?
Man, that's such a good question.
So,
No, that's, because I honestly, like, I can look my agent in the eye and say, I know I can make their world bigger. I know I can make it less stressful. I can put more income in their pocket, because I have owned the brokerages. I have seen the struggles. I have seen the highs and lows. I see the lack of systems. I see this, and I see the inconsistency and the failure. And so I think it's, really, Joe and Kenny, and what we look for, we like them brand new. My model is brand new. Not that we want to attract an existing agent, but my bread and butter, 90% of the people I'm recruiting is always a brand new agent because we have a 90-day program that we walk them through that they put 4 homes under contract in 90 days. And I'll put it against anyone. It is an incredible program. But I think that the younger generation, because if you look at my makeup of my team, I do have a lot of they want the teamwork. They want that. It's my generation. It's our generation who is so, this is just what I see, is so independently that their pride and their ego gets in the way of letting someone else lead them and thinking that. I swear, like it kills me because I talk to existing agents and I'm like, I can make you more money. I know the split is there, but I promise at the end of the day, I will give you a better life and you'll do more transactions.
Mm. I love that, Kelly. I think too is mentally breaking tradition, because when an agent thinks team, they think that I have to be under Joe's team, Joe's name, and that he gets all the credit for my production, right? Well, I'm building something that's independent. So when a person comes into our environment, in the eyes of EXP, we're a large team, but in the eyes of our agent population, we're fast real estate. We've really kind of sunsetted the hashtag Team Fast name over the years, and it's developed and grown into fast real estate. And so agent understands that when you're here, you can build a brand, but instead of you having to spend all the money, the resources, the tools, the tech, we've sold over $3 billion worth of real estate. All those are built for you. So you get to walk in and you're the face of your business, but in the background and operational, and from an operational standpoint, you have all of these tech and tools that create a better consumer experience that were bought and paid for by the company that you get to use as a resource because you're on the team, right? So it's about helping them understand that they can have their independence, they can rock their own brand, and we're just in the backgrounds helping them with all their systems, their tools, their support, and the coaching, but they get all the glory. When an agent understands that glory for all their hard work, I think that breaks the tradition of how they think about teams.
Yeah, right.
No,
You brought the word humility.
I'll go ahead, Ken.
Here, Joe. I think it's humility, ego, and how I mentioned the other brokerages in the area. They talk trash about other teams. So like if you were KW has a good rap here, but before it didn't. So like whether you're a KW or Real ESP, they're like, oh, you're one of those brokerages. Well, we're here. So people would prefer to make less money, fall out of business, relocate because they can't pay their bills, than join a team. Like who wouldn't want to join a team? Okay, you don't have business, we have Zillow Flex. Why wouldn't you want your phone ringing? Well, because I want to be with these people. Because if I leave these people are going to talk trash behind my back. So it's a big ego thing, especially so I think in higher price markets like this.
Well, and I think I've referenced this before, but the movie Ratatouille is so good, right? Like, but the premise behind it is anybody can cook, and where people misunderstand that is to think that literally every single human or every single living creature can cook. It's not true. It's that talent can come from extraordinary places like a rat, right? Sorry to go deep dive Disney for you guys, but I think the challenge is there's this, to your point, Kenny, it's like pride. It's like, dude, why are you doing this? Why are you getting into real estate? And if it's to create income to provide a better life for your family, what's the most efficient pathway to create the most amount of income possible to provide for your family? If it's not that, and to your point, Kenny, if it truly is the just straight pride, it's crazy to me that there are people, which we both know is true, that will choose less money and less efficiency and more stress and far less transactions for the pride of being able to say they did it themselves. And you know what? Maybe that has been me at times in my career. But I think, Elias, you mentioned this, like, we're not looking for just anybody, or maybe it was Kellyanne, like different people fit into different types of models. So I've got a question and then I'll shut up. But like, what are you guys doing to find the talent that fits into your business model? Because Kellyanne, you've got a business model that you're looking for a very specific type of agent. Kenny and Elias, you guys have a business model. You're looking for a very specific type of agent. How do you find them? And connected to that, how do you avoid hiring? Like we've all seen it, right? Where two of our friends are getting married and we're like, all right, this is going to be a disaster. It's like, you can't stop it. But then as team leaders, we're always like, oh no, we'll just change people, right? Like, how do you find the right talent and how do you avoid hiring the wrong talent or partnering with the wrong talent?
Go ahead, Kenny, and last.
I mean, we don't really find them. We don't do any outbound recruiting. We don't any call. I've never cold call or I mean, asking someone out for lunch or coffee is already a big deal. But we get found, and through social media, our top agents are usually the ones recruiting the most other agents. Just also the business, our business model has a revenue source
Yeah,
for
because you're
that.
in a rev share model. Agents
Yeah.
find other agents that want to
If you
be.
look at the Fast Agents and give us a follow on Instagram, you'll see that on the Fast Agents Instagram page, there is not a single listing, there's not a single sale, there's no reviews. So it's all lifestyle and fun and branding, our lunches, our dinners, our recaps, our training, or just like a very cool page. So we've continued to get more momentum from social media recruiting because they land on that page and discover who we are. They want to be a part of a culture that is like that. But then we
Yeah.
continue to recruit younger and more diverse, which is great, which is actually taking us further away from the traditional top producers in their market. So we're building differently than other companies out here. Not by
Yeah,
choice.
and just to give you guys an example of this, so like as you guys can see, not a single just sold, coming soon, just listed. That's not our style. I know it works for other teams, but we want to make it all about them because what we want is we want someone else to look at, let's take this guy on the far right side. Oh, I'm like Glenn, right? Oh, I can be like a Glenn in that environment. Oh, I could be like an Elias. I could be like this person. So I feel when you showcase all these different stars in your movie, somebody along the lines is gonna be like, ooh, I'm like that person. I could be like that person, or I'm kind of like that person, or she sounds like me. I'm a mom. I have 5 kids. Like we lead with them, and then they start to create this buzz, and then happy agents will talk about their experience, and then make an introduction to me, and then I'll share the benefits of partnership. But that's literally how we've done it since day one. Is our social media and our visibility is how we've gained all of this growth over the years.
Every team meeting has been recorded from day one for 5 years ago. Every coaching call Elias does Monday, Wednesday, Friday has been recorded. It's all on YouTube. So when people go to, you guys want to check it out, go join teamfast.com. Then you can see everything about us. You can see our past, you can see our events, you can see emails. So like we give it all out to the world. So when someone discovers us, they're going down the rabbit hole. So if they're doing their due diligence and they're doing the research, when we meet, they're 90% of the time, they're already mentally on board with us prior to our meeting.
Kellyanne. I
Um,
think Scott and they wanted to, and Tony said, would you share your 4 in 90 days?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
get the Molly, like the four. It's just
Oh
the.
no, that's Kelly.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Was
I think also though, we recruit, like we flat out recruit. Like, we hit so many appointments, we put so many ads out on Meta, we put so many ads out on Google, we track our appointments, we send them to real estate school, we pay for their real estate school, we track where they're at, and yeah, so we full blown recruit. That's how I know how many people I've got in the pipeline because I know how long it takes them to get in schooling. I know how long it takes them to get tested. We do study guides for them. So that's how I'm recruiting. The existing one, I struggle because I am in a small town and I eat everyone's lunch, full transparency. The gap between my production and everyone else is so high. So I deal like what Kenny and Elias were talking about. I deal with the competition shoo-shooing teams. And so it's not impossible, but it's very hard for me to recruit that. So I go to what's the easiest way to recruit, the non-resistant, which is a brand new agent because I can predict that a lot more and it takes less resources on a staff wise. If not, I have to go hire a super expensive recruiter to go recruit existing agents. And what is that really necessary when I can just literally hire a VA, have Matt run the department and recruit that way? That's what works for us.
Do you have much turnover?
So the 90-day program, what I was going to say about that, that's where I was leading into it. The 90-day program weeds them out. So only 60% of them are making it through the 90-day program before my operations team has to even spend a lot of time. So through that, but no, I mean, so, I had to buy my partner out last year. Since I've taken over the CEO role, and I made a couple different hires. We haven't, I hate even saying it, but I know I have not had a retention issue since I put the hat back on. But as I scale and recruit 24 more, I am 24 is what we have. We have 38 coming in, if that makes sense. So I have 38 coming in, 24 will stick. So yes, there's a retention when you start recruiting at that kind of mass. Right now, because I'm so small and I can touch everybody, see everybody, talk to everybody, when Kellyanne's in retention mode, the retention is much higher, right? But now when I start having more masses come in, I'm gonna have an issue. That's just, you just know that.
Well, speaking of
90 days.
go ahead.
What'd you say, Raquel?
I said, speaking of retention, it's one thing to recruit agents to your team, but how do you keep production high for both of you guys, and keep that retention high?
Hey, before I didn't want to ignore handing out the 90-day thing. I really don't care. I'll give it, but all that stuff is all over the internet. I'll tell you, you can find 90-day programs by all these different teams. It depends on who the leader is and the accountability around it if it's going to get executed. You can make whatever program, you can take mine, you can do this. It's literally the leadership and the accountability at the end of the day.
Truth.
For retention, I mean that's where I spend most of my time. Over the years, up until like this year, we lost a couple of our big agents. They're always the top agents, they need to get better splits along the way. We have different tier structures that you can earn, but we found that they're always looking at the difference between what they pay on the team, and they went solo with our brokerage. And like, I'm very aware of that. So like for me, my dozen deals a year I try to split them, like try to hook people up and partner with me on 50-50 on deals. So I'm still trying to like have my own little team within my brokerage, and that's helped me with a lot of retention over the years. This year we lost a couple agents because it's like, hey, the numbers don't really make sense, and then we actually don't want to sell as much real estate. We want to get into the mortgage side a little more and property management. But past that, like constantly getting lead opportunities from my team. Last week I got 3 referrals from other agents in other markets, and then I make sure if I can service it, I partner with my team member. If it's someone like further away, let's just Sacramento, I'm not going to drive an hour and a half to Sacramento and then give it to my team. So I'm constantly always in the hunt to get my team opportunities or meet with new partners or vendors or lenders. Anytime I can get a lead source, and we usually get early beta on all that stuff, we'll try to get it to my team. So our team really does know that we are constantly working to get more opportunities for them in any shape or form.
Kenny, speaking of splits, what are your splits on the team if you guys are?
Sure. We start agents at 50-50 first 3 transactions, and it can go anywhere from 75% at that all the way to a 90. We're very competitive with other local brokerages in our area. It's if they hit these $100,000 rolling 12-month numbers, then they go up extra a percent at a time. And a lot of the team members that they've been with us 2, 3, 4 years, and they ask for a better split, and they're close, and it kind of makes sense that we use it for retention. Because the challenge with having agents be independent, which I feel like we're really proud of creating those agents. They can go anywhere they want. They can get a better deal or similar, but we want them to be able to be competitive. And then at that point, they're not a big money maker for us, but that's our job as business leaders to continue to recruit and build a company. And the challenge, like, you gotta be very careful. I've seen this happen so many times in my market. If you're running a brokerage, I thought people, I don't want to recruit. I was like, you need to be very careful, because if your top guy or a couple people leave your company, immediately a third of production goes out door. I've seen that over and over. I've seen teams break up from teams that come from a team. We brought on technically over 1,000 agents at Team Fast in the last 5 years. 800 have left, but no one has left my team and started a team. They even said that it's pointless because they can't compete against our resources, so they're not gonna. We encourage them too, but like they just know that it's really hard to compete against everything that we have.
Kellyanne, what about you guys in splits? How are you structured?
So my teammates in rural Kentucky, they come in on a 40-60 until they've had 15 transactions, because they have a coach up until that point. Then they go on a 50-50, and then there's a tiered structure up to 80-20 on all of their sphere deals. If they get a team lead, which is our program, then it is a 40-60, just like you would 40 to them, 60 to us, just like you would pay a referral, like a referral group, right? And so retention is really providing them those leads where I would really want to see their business, a lot of these people coming in don't have the spheres that I have, or that Kenny has, like, or Elias has, like, or you, Raquel, like, they don't have anything. So, making sure that they have a good income and they're not poor. But you know, the cost of living in Owensboro, Kentucky, it just went up. It's like $45,000. So like y'all are probably triple that there. So, you know, I'm an average price point of 200 and a quarter, you know? So it's just different. I see where Kenny, like you're talking about, like you can't compete with that. But in my, like, that's why, like, I always tell people, like, when you're listening to us, like, it depends on where you're at. Because for so many years, I would go to these conferences and I'd see these big shots on TV, on stage, and then I'd want to go adopt it in my rural territory, and I didn't make any money. So like this is literally 12 years of me running a team of figuring out what works in my state.
Speaking of that, Kellyanne, if you were to start over today, what advice would you give to people listening on our call about starting a team? What would you do differently, and what would you do today? You know,
I don't- Man, there's so much stuff. I would watch. This is. I'm trying to say this in the most professional way I can. I would watch who you get into business with, um, and because that's partnership. You know, I would watch that. Make sure you have divorce agreements if you do go into business with people. Proper divorce agreements. Big producers, y'all, like, I think I've been in so many positions where big producers threatened my business, like Kenny, and like if you lose someone, and whenever you are in a position where the producer threatens because then you have nothing and you have all this staff and you're the one with the risk, you sometimes don't make the best business decisions. So I know I see team owners, because I coach team owners. I see team owners make that mistake all the time where they make decisions because of what their top producer would say. And you've got to make decisions for the company as a whole. Like, would you make this decision differently if that person wasn't on your team? And that's what I would do differently. And then I would have leveraged myself like to not do 98% of the job. Like, literally, I would not form a team and have agents until I know that I have all the staff to assist me with a better lifestyle. And then I would start hiring the agents when I knew that my buyer business was only 30%, right? So a lot of people go and they hire all these agents and they do it backwards. And they're like, these agents are going to make me money. And more agents is more expense. And so, like, I would completely leverage yourself, max yourself out where you have someone literally in the car with you picking up your pieces, then start hiring agents.
Kenny, Elias, what would you guys do differently if you guys had to start a team? If anything, from scratch today, what advice would you give to everybody listening?
I think early on, making sure that you have a very, very clear onboarding and a roadmap 30, 60, 90. We have a 30-day checklist, but at first it was like a document, a Google Doc or Google Sheet with like 74 different items. So if someone could go to 61, 14, so it was really unorganized. Build to where you are going. That if you know you want to add 5 agents into the environment, then you have to ask yourself, what is that experience going to be like for them? Does it exist already? No. Well, then you have no business bringing people on if you can't show them that pathway ahead. And so making sure that that onboarding piece of it is super, super set in stone, and that you guys know what that clear pathway is for them. That's what I think early on. It was a little clunky, you know, shoes in the dryer, but we learned, and now we have a solid onboarding process. But that's what I would do different from the start.
Yeah, I would say careful buying market share. We opened 5 offices in the summer, and we had to shutter. We had like 9 offices at once, 9 retail, and within 2 years we had to shut 4 of them down. It kind of reminded me when I was a newer agent, like buying Zillow leads. I had a conversation about someone. Yeah, well, I spend the 10, 15 grand on this. If I make it back, then is it break even? Well, you still have to put in the work. So when I was looking into offices, it's like, oh, well, I get this Hayward location. It's 40 grand a year. I just need 2 good agents. And I did. Well, what happens when the 2 agents leave? And then that there's no leaders in the office and so on. And then looking at the goals, we're still are constantly beta testing and looking at tools, but we'll not sign on with probably like 5 out of 6 things we look at. Early on, we just had I went from 127 deals to like 580 to 1,000 in 2 years. So it was like 12x business. It was just insane. So we were just spending and trying to do everything and testing everything and realized this money was just trickling out and not being smart about it. So now like we always look at tools, reevaluate something is working for us or not after 30, 60 days. Everything we do, we meet together as a leadership team. Like this is something we want to move forward with or not. If it's something we consider later, we'll tell them, hey, maybe this is something we kick down the road. So figuring what like each quarter priorities are. We use EOS, and then we do our quarterly meeting with our rocks. That's really helped us set up our business for success. Like Monday powers our entire business, Monday.com. But that was something that was like, hey, let's look at this next quarter. I think we said, okay, let's look at next quarter again. So we didn't implement that till like 6 months later. That's something I've probably done earlier. Overbuild the back end and systems and the organization so you could support more growth without like hiccups on the way versus kind of building the airplane as you go.
Yeah. You can't scale chaos. Joe has a question, and before Joe, you ask your question, I want to open it up. So if you have a question, either raise your hand or drop in the chat, so that way you can get to some of your questions about teams. Joe.
Yeah. So kind of a statement, kind of a question. I'm interested to get your guys' perspective. There is a business model that is that of the team leader. Like I'll say for myself, I got into real estate. I wanted to be a personal injury attorney, but I didn't want to go to college for that long. And so I was looking for a way to create income. I got into it. And after a few years, I was like, dude, and this is like 03, 04. I was like, I just don't want to show homes to buyers anymore. I was good at it. I could close business, but I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And so I hired a buyer's agent. I took all the listings. Then eventually I was like, I don't even want to do that anymore. And like, not because I couldn't do it, but because I chose not to. So as people are gathering their questions, Kellyanne, Kenny, what are your thoughts as far as like the business model of a team leader that may have gotten out of production or truly just falls out of love with production and then just goes like, I know how to do this, but I like one of the things I love about real estate is you can make money in so many different ways that don't include like actually even showing houses. So what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's me. I fell out of love of it because I was like Kenny, I had 13 offices and all these locations over the state of Kentucky and Indiana and Ohio and thought that was kind of my way. And so I went away for almost like 6 years of the production route. And now I'm coming back in it and I forgot how much I loved it again. So like, I think, and that's why I'm kind of restructuring everything again. The burnout mode is real. I was there. Like that's why I went to something else and started opening offices. And then thought that would be just as profitable. And then I learned, oh shoot, the team is like the bread and butter. It is the most profitable asset that I own besides flipping homes, right? So I think that you should, if you are super talented, if you are a mega, like you should completely like start giving, like that's what I meant by like 98%, like give as much away because the less agents you have on the team, the more profitable you will be. Hands down. Hands down, if you are a top producing agent. If you are the business, like if you are the entrepreneur that wants to run the business, that wants to sell this one day, like me, like Kenny, like Elias, like we want to sell our asset one day, then you have to structure it differently. If you don't have any desire to sell this book of business and you just want to make $1 million a year, $500,000, whatever that looks like, but you don't want to put all this structure and build this and make it churn, like there's, you know what I mean? There's just different ways to do it.
Yeah. Anthony had a question, and I know, Elias, you mentioned Real Scout and Monday. What systems would you not give up or live without, Kellyanne or Kenny, if you guys had any more to add to that?
Well, Slack. I would never want to give up Slack because my phone doesn't, that literally Slack, because it used to, the old days were like everything on group texts and text messages. So I don't think I could live without Slack or GroupMe, whatever.
So that is what
Slack is our part of our company, we've been building this thing out for 6 years. All my downline, I have other people and other brokers in my Slack for open house opportunity. It's just everything lives on there.
So Slack, Zoom. Any other questions?
Well, you have Google Hangouts and other options. Yeah.
Yeah, you have other options. Slack is just,
Your go-to.
yeah. Don't tell Slack that. They will raise our prices.
Anything else? Any other questions? And then Joe, I'll hand it over to you for next week. We have no more questions.
Oh, Joe's like question, like I as a business owner, I don't know if you don't want to do one thing, you need to do something else. You're place it. I don't know we can live in the completely like
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
automated business. I have very few team leaders in business to their income. Like if you're a top
actually got
producer,
slow for once, y'all. Like he
if you're a top
actually
producer,
slowed
you need to recruit a lot of agents to make up for your business, and they're half as good as you. And in certain splits, you probably gotta get like 6 to 8 of them, and then by then you need a sales manager. So I've actually talked many agents out of starting a team or continue to grow their team in the last year. I get on these Zoom calls. So it's just, you gotta really figure out what your strength is. Like if I'm gonna be recruiting or doing less business, then I better go get more referrals for my team. So that means I need to go travel more. And if I travel more, then that, I don't know, that takes a lot of time too. So you gotta figure out what your thing is. It's hard to be completely hands off in this business, because there's other companies out there, other brokerages, our team leaders always trying to recruit your agents and take your past clients, and it's a fight all the time. So when you lay off the pedal, someone's coming for your piece of the pie.
Yeah. I was on a humanitarian trip in the Dominican Republic with a kid from Canada. He was like 20 years old, and he was like, "I think I want to go into real estate. What do you think about that?" And if I chose real estate, why would I choose it? And my point to him was, the thing I love about real estate is, as an entrepreneurial model, there's so many avenues to find success. And like, you could be a solo top producing agent. You could work for a home builder. You could run a team. You could be a productivity coach. You can be right now, I mean, you could create AI applications and market them to realtors and charge a subscription fee. And like, there's so many ways to create income in real estate. I think people just need to be honest with themselves. I think if agents are honest with themselves and ask them that question, like, what am I lacking in my world? The answer may very well be partnering up with somebody like Kellyanne or Kenny or Elias and joining a team. If you're in production and you're just burnt out and tired of the grind and people constantly look to you for leadership, and you're so busy that you need help, that may be time to start a team, or if, like Kellyanne, you get into that world and you do all this expansion, you may go like, I want to get back into the grind. And so it's like, the beautiful thing about our ecosystem is there is unlimited opportunity. So the two things I want to talk about in preparation for next week, number one is looking back at last week. So we do have Chelsea's downloadable resource. Leilani's going to drop it in the chat. If any of you guys were on the call last week, Chelsea Pites crushed it. And so she's got her downloadable presentation that you can kind of get all the information she was talking about. Next week is all about systems. We've got 2 guests lined up. I'm working on a third. One is basically a systems integration manager for one of the largest teams in America, talking about what they're using for efficiency as individuals and as team members. The other is the CTO of Real, Pritesh Damani's going to be on here. He's got some big updates launching coming up next month that he's not going to talk about, but he is going to talk about what he has built. The goal being to create efficiency in the lives of everyday agents, teams, and top producers. So, guys, with that, Kenny, Elias, Kellyanne, thank you so much. Raquel, great job as always. Click on Chelsea's resources. Any of the resources from these guys obviously will be available next week. Next week is all about systems. Here's the truth, guys. If you're using the right systems, especially in today's economy, one person can do the work of 5 if they're doing it efficiently. If you're not doing it efficiently, one person cannot do the work of, a half of a person. Like it's efficiency matters so much, and next week's all about efficiency and systems management. So we're excited about that.
Love that. Love that. I heard a quote recently, Joe. It said, the systems run the business, the humans run the system. So we're running multi businesses here. I want to encourage everyone that's on this call, and I will see this, focus on your Q4 marketing plan, your strategic marketing plan to give you and your team the most engagement and most conversations to close out this year and walk into 2026 with momentum. So Raquel, Joe, Amy, thank you guys for having us here. It's an honor. It's a privilege, and we really appreciate this. Grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you,
Thanks, guys.
So much.
Thank you all.
All right, guys.